guys, it's Jessie and welcome back to my channel. I filmed this video in two parts at separate times, and at both parts I thought I'd filmed the intro in the other part and I didn't do that. But basically in today's video I'm going to be doing my January reading wrap up. I spent half of the month at home and then half of the month I moved back to uni, so I didn't want to bring all the books I'd read at home back to uni with me, only to then bring them back home again. So I filmed half of the wrap up at home and then I filmed the second half today at uni at the end of the month. So it's split into two parts, but hopefully that's not too confusing for you guys, not too annoying. But yeah, without further ado, I will just get straight into it. Hey guys, so it's Jessie from, it's the past obviously for you watching this, but it's the future in terms of when I'm filming this video, because as I mentioned I am filming this video in two halves. So I wanted to chat to you guys about my reading statistics for the month. I thought it made sense to kind of do it all in one go when I have all of the stats. I'm doing my statistics a little bit differently this year. I'm not doing Storygraph quite so much. Last year I just kind of went through my Storygraph statistics, and I will be talking about a couple of them, but I've also started tracking my own statistics so I can follow different things with different books and stuff like that, just like different goals I have and keeping on track of those. So for my January 2023 statistics, I read 12 books and that was a total pages of 4,012. And that means that the average pages per day that I read was 129 and the average pages per book was 334. Mood wise, they're kind of mixed, as you can see on the Storygraph stats that I'll put up here. We've got mainly dark, mysterious and tense, and then also pacing wise it was pretty normal. It was 50% fast and 50% medium, which is pretty normal for me. I don't really enjoy reading slow-paced books very much. Page number was actually quite interesting. We had 75% of them were 300 to 499. This makes sense. That's kind of the average length of the book. And then 25% were less than 300 pages. And then page tracking wise, you can kind of see where my reading fell across the month here. Obviously certain peaks, certain troughs. That's just kind of the way it is. But yeah, and then going on to the stats that I'm tracking myself, I've tracked my average star rating, which is 3.52. Pretty decent for me, to be honest. I'd love it to be closer to 4. My goal for the year is to have a kind of 4-ish star rating as my overall average rating, so could do with upping that a bit, but I was doing less personal preference books, more kind of randomly or certain theme selected books this month, so that is probably why. I'm also tracking the average amount of time a book has spent on my TBR, so this is like from when I bought it, how many months is it until I've read it, or if I haven't bought it then how long since I was gifted it or whatever. This month I did very, very well with this. I think this is probably the lowest it will ever be, because I did get a lot of books in December for Christmas or my birthday, and I then read them less than a month later in January, so I'm counting that as 0. And the average amount of time a book spent on my TBR, this is for only physical print books, not the audiobooks or ebooks, but it was 1.6 months, which is extremely low, which I'm very, very pleased about, and that probably won't be the case going forward. But anyway, now another one of my goals for the year is to cut down on my physical TBR. So I'm judging this based on the physical TBR that I had before the start of the year. So anything that was on my TBR and that I physically owned before the 31st of December 2022, I'm tracking the percentage of books that were pre then or were either audiobooks, ebooks or bought after that date. So the percentage that was on my TBR from pre this year is 58%, which is pretty good. I would kind of rather it be kind of 70%-ish maybe, but I think 58% is pretty good for the month. And to keep in mind, obviously audiobooks don't count, and I'll always be listening to a decent amount of audiobooks per month because I do enjoy that. And then the percentage breakdown of how I read these books, I did 58% print, 8% just audio and 33% mixed media, which means I used 2 or more ways to read this book. So either I read parts of it by audiobook, parts of it by ebook, or parts of it by print, or listened to the audiobook whilst I read the actual physical book. Anything that falls under that category is in mixed media, and that was 30% of my stats for this month. So now that is done, I will jump back to even further past me to chat to you about the first lot of books I read this month. Okay, so we're back at home, back in time actually for you guys, and I'm going to be going through all of the books that I've left at home, just so I don't have to kind of carry them all the way to uni and then just bring them back again when I've already read them. I'm not going to be spending too long on these because I feel like I've done reading vlogs on 1, 2, 3. These are actually all including reading vlogs. So we've got my cozy true crime reading vlog. We've got a reading vlog that's coming out in a couple of weeks, which you'll see only one of the books here for, and then my 24-hour readathon, which I can't remember. Anyway, these are all from those videos, so I will just kind of chat about my basic opinions on them and ratings. So the first book I read of the year was a 5-star, and that was True Crime Story by Joseph Knox. I actually started this in 2022 but only finished it on the 1st of January, and I absolutely adored this one. I gave this one a full 5 stars. It was a really cool mixed media murder mystery where the author was actually a character in the book as well, only briefly, but it still made it really interesting. I was very surprised by the end, and I really enjoyed this one. Then after that, in terms of physical books that I read How to Kill Your Family, I believe. I think this is not quite the correct order, it's just the order it's coming up on my Goodreads, and I was not pleased with this. I gave it 2.25 stars. If you guys have watched my channel, you know I've been trying to read this for ages. I was about halfway through the book for about 3 months or so. I read a little bit for my 24-hour readathon a while ago, and I finally finished it off in this most recent one. And yeah, 2.25 stars. Once I listened to it with the audiobook, I was really starting to enjoy it a bit more. I feel like it really picked up and I was having a good time. In my review, I wrote, "This really dragged until I started listening to it via audiobook. The twist at the end ruined the whole book for me, in my opinion." There's a slight twist. It's basically from the page, chapter 16, page 311 out of like 354 pages. So really unfortunately, the very final part of this book absolutely ruined it for me. It was so unnecessary and completely basically devalued the whole story, in my opinion. It was kind of like, well, if that's the case, then what have we all done this for? Literally so pointless, and didn't add anything, just took away from the whole story. I feel like I could have given it a 3.25 if it weren't for that ending, and like thinking about it more and more, it just makes me want to bump it down. I won't right now, but yeah, really disappointed with this one. Then the next one coming up on my Goodreads is The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman, and this I thought was so cute. This is such a lovely little cozy murder mystery. I love the little found family in here. The characters are so cute. Ibrahim and Joyce just have my whole heart. I absolutely adore them. And yeah, 4 stars for this. Such a cute cozy murder mystery. I'm partway through the second one as I'm filming this. Hopefully should be mentioning it later on in the wrap up if I've hopefully done the right amount of reading. But yeah, really enjoyed this one. So cute. Can't wait to carry on with that series. Then we've got Idol Burning by Rin Usami. This was a short little book, basically talking about obsession and kind of pop culture cancellation, stuff like that. In my review, I said it was 3.5 stars rounded up. I really enjoyed this, but wish it had delved a little bit deeper into the issues Akari was dealing with and talked more about the devolution of her obsession. And I still agree with all of that. I feel like it could have gone so much deeper than it did. I feel like it was so surface level, even for a kind of novella. It was just a bit disappointing that I feel like it could have taken it a step further, which I really would have liked to see. But I did enjoy the writing. I really enjoyed that we got some kind of illustrations partway through. Kind of every point where the chapter started, we got some really nice little illustrations, and I feel like that really added to it. I think it was quite cute. I really like having a little illustration. I'm trying to find some more. Yeah, they're just really cute, little kind of good for scene setting, plus they take up half a page, which I appreciate. Makes me feel like I'm reading faster. So yeah, I really enjoyed that part. Thought it was super duper cute. But yeah, overall a little bit disappointed, but it was still a good book. And that one's got barely any ratings on Goodreads. I was surprised. It got 238 reviews, 1,000 ratings, so really not many at all. Then I read Rock Paper Scissors by Alice Feeney, and I gave this one a 5 stars. I said in my review, I feel like once I read more thrillers I will bump this down, but the ending, I really like this. Definitely got a few different twists in here, which I found super fun. Very much like a domestic isolated thriller, and yeah, I gave it 5 stars, and it was my first Alice Feeney book. I'm very much excited to read some more of her. I think if all my plans go correctly, I should be talking about another one later on in this wrap up. Then we had Weasels in the Attic by Hiroko Oyamada. Unfortunately, this one was a little bit disappointing for me too. It's 3 short stories, and supposedly it deals with fertility, family, parenthood roles, like gender roles. I felt like it was extremely surface level. I would have loved, like for my slice of life stories, I really like them to either go a bit weird or very much into like a character, kind of very in-depth character story, and I feel like I just didn't get that from this at all. I gave this one 3 stars. I think it was just a solid 3 stars. I don't think I gave it a 0.25 or anything, but yeah, this one was just a little bit disappointing, but I thought it was so cute. I loved the little cover. And then finally we have my favourite book of the year so far, which is The Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix. I gave this one a full 5 stars. This was so good. I literally devoured it, read it in less than 24 hours and had such a good time reading it. So suspenseful, lovely, like, not lovely because it's like a slasher film type, like in a book, kind of a bit of a campy horror book, and I just had a really good time reading this. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. Great book, really would recommend. So yeah, those are the books from the first half of this video. Hopefully I would have read some of these books you can see in the background by the time I'm filming the rest of this, but yeah, I will see you in the future. Okay, so now we are back. I did not read very much towards the end of the month, I can't lie. I fell into a little bit of a reading slump. Wasn't really, I think I was just super busy with everything else that I had going on, coming back to uni and everything. It was very hectic, so I actually only read 2 books since coming back to uni. I finished Weasels in the Attic on the 10th of January, and then the next book that I picked up was on the 19th of January, and that was actually a library book from my uni, and that was Black Flamingo by Dean Atter. So I saw Meg with Books read this and she really enjoyed it, and I saw it in the library and I really wanted to pick it up. This is basically a book about a black boy who goes to uni and discovers that he's really into drag. He's queer, obviously, and I believe he comes out before he goes to uni, but it's just basically about his journey into coming into himself. And what I really love about it is that it is written really interestingly. It's written in verse, first of all, so it's basically like reading poetry, and then there's also a lot of, like, let me find something, there's a lot of like drawings and pages like this, so it means it's a very quick read, and I really did enjoy it. I thought it was so heartfelt, it was like so gorgeously written, and I just thought it was incredible. I literally devoured this in less than 24 hours and I gave this a 4.5 stars. It was really good and I would very much highly recommend. And then the final book this month I finished on the 30th of January, so again another 11-day break, which is a lot for me, and this was Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. This is Alice Feeney's newest release. So in here we are following Daisy, who is the youngest sibling in the Darker family. All their family are a bit estranged, have a lot of secrets. They're all going to the grandma's house, which is on like an island that gets cut off by the tide. So it's basically an And Then There Were None retelling, where every hour someone dies basically, and they're trying to figure out who in the family or someone that's like snuck onto the island is doing this basically. So yeah, very intriguing premise. I overall gave this one a 3 stars. The big reveal at the end, there's kind of 3 levels to it. I predicted the first one but not the other 2, and the biggest reveal, I don't really know how I feel about it, to be honest. It's a little bit kind of, I don't know how to describe it without giving too much away. It's not super original, but it is definitely different, if that makes sense. Like, it's not the classic route a thriller would go down, but it's definitely an idea that we see a lot in kind of media and TV and other books and stuff like that. So I felt very much like I like read the reveal and I was like, huh, okay, cool. And that's very much how I felt about it. I was like, okay. And when I finished this book, I was like, okay, it was enjoyable to read, but like, I don't know. So that's why I gave it a 3 stars. I think it's a very solid 3. Like, it was fun to read, and there were like little poems, and this edition I think is very pretty with the hardback and this cover with the flowers. So yeah, overall it was fine, and that's really all I have to say about it. Unfortunately, I read Rock Paper Scissors, as you guys saw earlier in the month, and really loved it, so it's quite disappointing that this one didn't quite live up to the same hype. But yeah, overall it was fine, really, just fine pretty much. So yeah, those were the 2 other books I read this month. Obviously not too many, but yeah, 12 books is pretty decent for me. It, I believe, puts me on track for my Goodreads goal, I think, of 150. I'm not going to do the maths right now. I think slightly under. Yeah, because that would put me on track for 144. So slightly under, but doing pretty well, especially considering I had I like read 1 book basically between the 10th and the 30th of January, so we will move on from that. But yeah, I really hope you guys did enjoy this video. Next month will definitely be much more organised. We won't be jumping around from timelines, but I just didn't want to bring up a load of books back to you. It didn't make any sense for me. So yeah, I really hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, don't forget to give it a like down below, hit subscribe, turn on the bell to join a little club, make sure you turn on all notifications, and then you'll be notified every single time I post a new video. If you want to watch one of my other videos, there'll be 2 on the screen now to pick from. There's also loads linked up in the cards from earlier. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!